Hello everyone, welcome back to YK Reviews. As we're in the spooky season, I've decided we're going to review all the Nightmare on Elm Street movies representing my boy Freddy Krueger, as we're doing this retrospective style. And of course, once we get to the end of this, we'll be doing a tier ranking video for all the Nightmare on Elm Street movies. So let's get into it here. Now, I've already done a Friday the 13th tier ranking video. I'll link that somewhere up here so you can go check that out if you do like those types of videos. I've also done last year reviewing all the Halloween movies. I've done Child's Play Chucky franchise. I've done the Hellraiser franchise. Also, most recently doing all the Saw movies in the franchise too. So you can go ahead, check all those out on the channel. I'll put a playlist at the end of this video along with a couple of links up here as well, so you can go check those out. And if you are new to the channel, definitely consider hitting that subscribe button, hitting that like button, hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on any videos. Got tons of content coming your way, and of course we do these weekly entertainment news videos every Friday, Saturday for movie related news, TV related news, video game, and sometimes Lego stuff. So definitely consider subscribing so that you're not missing out on that. And now when it comes to the Friday the 13th movies, we're going to be starting off with the very first one, the one that kicked it all off. Now when it comes to Nightmare on Elm Street with this franchise, Freddy Krueger is one of those iconic slashers, and Robert Englund does a fantastic job portraying it. The delivery of his lines, the one-liners that he throws out there. He's not like Michael or Jason where he's like this silent killer there. He really does make up for like entertainment when it comes to being a slasher. And like I said, with this one kicking off the franchise, coming out in 1984, the opening sequences you've got here is of Freddy's classic glove. You get to see it being made. You get to see the laugh of Freddy Krueger as he's being born and raised into the slasher. As he's going after this girl, which we later find out is Tina, when she wakes up, she sees these claw marks on her pajamas. And then we get that classic song, the Nightmare on Elm Street, the Freddy Krueger song that, I'll be completely honest, I put that song on when it's pitch black. As my wife's about to go to bed or she's in the bathroom and it's just dark, I play that song just to freak her out, and she's gonna kill me for saying it, but it always cracks me up doing that and her reaction to it. But that iconic song that you play, and then you get this really nice transition of the main characters that we're going to be following. So you've got Nancy there, you've got Johnny Depp in one of his earlier roles there, and of course Tina, as they're talking about the nightmare that she had. They're going into school and discussing everything there, basically brushing off the nightmare that she did have because they don't believe that Freddy is real. So it just kind of gets brushed aside. But then we sort of follow these characters. They're now hanging out in Tina's house. So you've got Nancy and Johnny Depp's character and Tina hanging out in the house. They hear a noise outside. We get to see this new character, Rod, whose first priority is making sure that Tina's mum's not home so that they can use Tina's mum's bed. Honestly, Rod, whatever works for you, so good on you. So these couples split. So you've got Nancy and Johnny Depp making out in their own little section. You've got Rod and Tina getting it on, and then eventually Tina does fall asleep, and that's where we sort of get to see the first nightmare sequence. And what I really like about this movie too is how they're balancing like the real life situations between the nightmare sequences situation, a blend that really just worked well together. And so with this one, you got Tina in this alleyway. She gets introduced to Freddy Krueger, and that's where we see Freddy Krueger right there in person. And like I mentioned, he's not one of those silent slashers. You see him delivering some great lines. He's tormenting her, teasing her. He even chops off 2 of his fingers to show the kind of element that he does bring to the table. And so he ends up chasing her, he grabs her, and then you just get this amazing sequence, I might add, of Tina just getting essentially killed off, but you don't actually see Freddy. You see Freddy, like I said, the balance in between the nightmare and the real life situation. Like you see Tina in the bed with Freddy like attacking her, clawing her, but then you get the sequence of like Rod witnessing sort of a scene that you'll see out of an exorcism movie where she's just like up in the ceiling, she's getting clawed up, twisting and bending all backwards and forwards, and ends up dying by Freddy Krueger. However, because it's all nightmare scenarios, people are thinking that Rod is the one who killed her, so he's number one suspect right now. And we sort of dive into the family dynamic with Nancy, as she's like the main lead of the movie. So we sort of get to see where she's coming from when it comes to like her mother's side of things, and then her dad, who I believe was the sheriff of the town. You got to see a little bit of that element there. Rod confronts Nancy in the bushes, trying to plead his innocence, only for Nancy's dad to show up, basically using Nancy as bait, arresting Rod for the murder of Tina. And so Nancy is Freddy's next target. So you get these little sequences of Freddy going after Nancy. She's in school, she dozes off. You get Freddy tormenting her once again, showing off his amazing tongue game skills with his little tongue going back and forth, which is, he is so messed up. This is like a regular occurrence throughout the whole franchise, with Freddy showing off his tongue game, licking people left, right, and center, tonguing people left, right, and center. So this is like the first glimpse of that. But he's tormenting Nancy. She has to burn herself because they're in this boiler room. She ends up burning her arm in order for her to wake up. And you get the next scene of this classic scene, the most iconic scene I think in the whole Nightmare on Elm Street franchise, is when Nancy's taking a bath and you've just got these claws sticking out of the water. And so then he ends up trying to drown her. She ends up escaping this, waking up. And so she figures out that she needs to try to stop Freddy. So she decides to enlist the help of Glenn, Johnny Depp's character, to keep an eye out on her while she goes into the nightmare situation to try and stop Freddy. Only Mr. Reliable Glenn here ends up falling asleep. So she's not able to wake up. She's in the nightmare scenario once again. She's getting chased by Freddy. Freddy even starts teasing her with trying to kill Rod in prison. She ends up getting thrown into like the mirror in her room, ends up waking up because of the alarm clock that is going on in her room, where she just ends up waking up, pissed off at Glenn because Glenn, again, just unreliable, ends up falling asleep on her. But when she does wake up, she ends up finding out that Rod was actually being murdered by Freddy in the prison scene. So Freddy makes it look like a hanging, so he ends up using the rope and stuff and ends up tying it around Rod's neck, ends up making it look like he actually killed himself, which, as we know, isn't the case. So you've got Tina killed off, you've got Rod killed off. And so Nancy's mother decides to take her to the hospital to have her sleep be monitored, her dream be monitored. So the doctors are monitoring it. You don't actually see a dream sequence with this. You see Nancy freaking out, only to end up waking up with Freddy Krueger's hat in her hand, a strand of grey hair in her hair and some claw marks in it, which is then what Nancy's mother freaks out over. She's on the phone with somebody at back at her house talking about this hat. We end up getting revealed the true backstory of Freddy Krueger, who he is, what happened back in the day. So we come to find out that all the parents in Elm Street ended up burning Freddy Krueger alive because he's actually a child murderer who got off on a technicality. So he faced the wrath of all these parents, ending up killing him because of that. So that's why they believe that it's not Freddy Krueger. However, we come to know that it is Freddy Krueger taking revenge because of all of this. So as we come to the third act, this is where we're revealed what Nancy's plan is. Now that she was able to bring the hat in, she gets this idea that she wants to bring Freddy into the real world. So Nancy's mother decides to just put bars on every window and door trying to lock her in. She has to rely on Glenn to wake her up just in case any shit goes down. However, once again, Mr. Reliable does end up falling asleep. And again, another honestly iconic scene here is you've got Glenn, Johnny Depp's character, he's sleeping, but then he ends up sliding into the bed and you just got this pool of blood just everywhere splurting. It really does remind me again of like a scene from the Exorcist movie. And what cracks me up too is that Nancy's dad comes to the scene of the crime, comes to like the house. One of the officers tells him that the coroner is actually throwing up, like this guy that dissects bodies is throwing up because of the whole scene. Like, it was just disgusting and disturbing. But so then you've got Rod is dead, Tina is dead, Glenn is now dead, and so the next target is Nancy. So Nancy decides to do some Home Alone type shit, setting up traps everywhere around the house for when she does bring Freddy into the real world. So she ends up falling asleep. So we get to the boiler room once again. She goes on like a little cat and mouse game with Freddy Krueger. She ends up grabbing Freddy. As her timer on her watch ends, she wakes up. We come to think that she didn't bring Freddy into the real world. As she's getting up from the bed, you see Freddy jumping out from behind, trying to grab her. She ends up escaping from her room. That's where you get one of those Home Alone traps with a hammer smashing into his body. You get a chase sequence with Freddy going after Nancy around the house, in the living room, in the kitchen, in the basement. When they do get to the basement, she tries to light him on fire, so he's pretty much just being burnt alive. She tries to call for her dad, who's across the street because of like Glenn's murder, to come into the room. So they all the police departments enter the house. That's where Freddy runs up the stairs where Nancy and her dad goes after him, only to see that Freddy Krueger is literally on top of Nancy's mum and burning her alive. She ends up dying and her just going sucked into the bed, similar to like Johnny, but no blood gets splurted out or anything like that. So Freddy Krueger has now killed Nancy's mum here. So then the dad goes back downstairs, and now as she turns her back on Freddy, Freddy's like appearing from the bed once again, but she stops being afraid of him. She kind of disowns him using the words of power. Freddy Krueger tries to jump on her, but he ends up just vanishing, evaporating here, because Nancy's able to overcome Freddy's fear, Freddy's persona. And that's where you see Nancy coming out of her house. It's like pitch bright, broad daylight here. It's like a lot of like white scenery, and you see Nancy's mother talking to her about how they slept and everything like that. Nancy goes towards the road where you've got Tina, Glenn and Rod in the car chilling as if nothing has happened. She gets into the car, but then the hood of the car is like this green and red design on it. Closes of the car, the windows close up, they're trapped inside the car, and the car just drives off with the Freddy Krueger song being played once again. And you don't really get an explanation of that ending, to be honest. I'm still a bit confused when it comes to that ending, but the movie closes out, and honestly, a really, really solid movie, a really great 80s slasher movie with an iconic slasher of Freddy Krueger. I really love the cast in this. I really love, like, you don't get this sort of great gory kills that you'll get in like Friday the 13th, for example, or Saw, or even like in terms of like Michael Myers or Halloween stuff. It's similar when it comes to that in terms of the kills. However, like with the mind games that are being played, the dream sequences that are done, like for example, like I mentioned, Tina's death, Glenn's death, they are pretty much iconic scenes that you'll get from those types of movies, along with like the mind games, like I mentioned with Freddy, for example, pouring his clothes out of the water while Nancy's in the tub. There's just some really great elements when it comes to these movies that you really get an enjoyment out of. Now, certain movies in the rest of the franchise are a lot of like hit and misses, but this one, the first one, definitely a great standout. I really do enjoy this one. If you have seen it, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Do you like this movie? Do you hate this movie? Have you ever seen it? Let me know in the comment section down below. But that about wraps it up for the first entry into the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise reviews, retrospective style. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Don't forget to like this video. Don't forget also follow me on Twitter if you haven't already, if you have got a Twitter. But I thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. I'll see you in Nightmare on Elm Street Part 2. This is Mike here Reviews.